Hey everybody, how's it going? This is a long video. It's the best I could do. When I started editing this, it was 2.5 hours long, just short of 2.5 hours long. It's under an hour now, but it is a long video, but there's a lot of stuff to see. A couple of trains, not the entire trains because the video was gonna be long enough, but I just wanted to point out ahead of time that you might want, if you want to skip ahead and look at things, different aspects, or if you want to sit through the whole thing. I know a lot of you just want to see trains, but I always like to catch this kind of stuff because I love to share how the railroad works and how things are done. All right, enjoy the video. Hey everybody, how's it going? Well, came up here to Woodford today. They're going to change out this switch off the main line for the Woodford spur. And they were supposed to do this last week.
This is former spur, gang 8719, 1 track bulletin on today's date, the 6th of July. Got 4B track bulletin number 36978, line 1 for all tracks.
Clearing a train through the Form B right now. They were supposed to do this last week, but they postponed it till this week. And I wasn't sure if it was going to be a go until earlier this morning. So I got up here a little bit late, but they still haven't done much. They're clearing a train through the Form B right now. And he will be coming up the siding because they already have the rails on the main cut. So, all right, let's get down there and see what's going on so far. All right, well, you can see that they've cut the rails right down there. They're going to move up there. It looks like they've got some marks they're going to cut up there as well. There's the panel that they will be installing. Saw them putting that together in the background of the video I did about the rail gang working up here, laying in the new ribbon rail. They have the rail cut right down here where these gentlemen are standing. You can see that the rail's cut. It's hard to see, but it is cut right there just in front of those white marks. Nortrack 136-pound rail marks. And they do have a Form B on both tracks, the main and the siding, here at Woodford. You see the guy was just spraying the guy's dedicated to fire control, fire prevention, I should say. And wherever they're cutting or welding, doing any of the hot work, they will have him keeping the whole area wetted down. You can see him doing the same thing on the ties, so the ties don't catch on fire. Beautiful day up here, according to the detectors. 69 degrees up here right now. Nice and cool. It does get hot down here at Woodford, and it probably will. It's supposed to heat up again. It was hot last week. It's supposed to heat up again over the next few days. So take advantage of some nice weather. I'm glad they're doing this today. I'm leaving tomorrow for 4 days, go over to the coast for a golf tournament. So I'm glad they did this so I could catch it for all of you. All right, well, I went and got myself something to eat. They just ran the westbound grain train by. As I was driving back up here, I saw it. In the meantime, you can see that they've taken that little piece out where the actual switch is, the switch points. They're getting ready to pull the pieces of the turnout. as you can see over there, there's the switch that they took out, the actual equipment on it. Obviously, that is what they plan on setting this piece. As with all these maintenance away folks, they are very, very good at what they do. Very experienced. No wasted time, energy, or effort. They just get things done. Well, these gentlemen were getting ready to haul this this end of the turnout off, and as they lifted it up, the rail pulled off the tie plates. So that's why people stay out of the way. People stay back and don't get their tootsies of their hands under these things. They'll grab it from the outside rails and see if they can get it up from there. I don't know. We'll see. Sounds like they're gonna dismantle it and take it out a piece at a time. Excavator's just been waiting in the wings for something to happen so he can get in there and get on it.
Donald, where's your forks over here, right? Get your forks, Mike, put ties on your forks. Jeff, want it back up, siding and go get your bucket so we start grading.
966 will just hold it up in the air while the excavator just pushes the ties off the rail.
Alright, next row.
See that creeper just pop off of there? Another reason why people stay in the clear. You never know what's going to go flying. And these loaders, these 966 cats, they have quite a few attachments. You can see that he went over there and dropped his bucket off. That one was just sitting there parked. unhook the bucket and put on a forklift attachment, and then you saw the other ones that have the attachments for picking rail up. I heard one of the guys down there, when he talked about dismantling, he said, let's just dismantle it. It'll only take about 5 minutes. And he was just about exactly right. Didn't take them long at all to clean that up. One of the things, when they set these panels, they're completely ready to go. You can see that the switch stand is already on there. The hand throw lever, that is one of the low type. They're a lot easier to throw than the old ones where you had to lift the bar up and then throw it. That has an electric lock on it. Right there. I think those are called, gosh, I haven't been gone that long, I can't remember. I think that's a Model 10. I can't remember. But then you see that the U5 box, the switch circuit controller, already mounted, so it's already on all the ties, and everything's ready to go. It appears that they are going to move that panel in 2 pieces. If you look right there, you'll see where the rails cut all the way across, with holes drilled for angle bars. That is heavy. Look at it. One loader's in the way, but as he's trying to pick that up, it's actually lifting the back of the loader up. Looks like they just want to get some dunnage under it, some wood, get it off the ground. But I would imagine that they may even use all 3 of these machines to get that thing moved. I don't know. You know me, I love to speculate. Boom. One of my early videos that you'll find in my How Things Work on the Railroad playlist is about how on-track roadway workers at the railroad protect themselves. And I went over all the different types of protection, on-track protection that they use. And one of them was a Form B. And you heard me mention that they are running a Form B today on the main and on the siding. So, when I was at Cable a while back, I had some radio chatter about them running a train through a Form B, and I had a couple of people ask me what a Form B was. So I'll explain it again here. Form B is a form of on-track protection in which on-track workers, called roadway workers, they use that. They call the dispatcher, they set everything up at least 12 hours in advance, and they will have a Form B. And they call it a Form B because that is the form of the paperwork. There's a form that you fill out, and you read that as the employee in charge. You read that off to a train crew that wants to come through your Form B, and the train crew has to read it back to you, word for word. If anything is not exactly the same, it has to be reread. And Form B, they'll use what are called flags. They're big metal signs. A yellow, red is at the limits of a Form B, and that is 2 miles in advance of the red flag. When a train reaches the yellow-red flag, he has to start trying to contact the EIC, the employee in charge of the Form B, and start requesting permission, see if they're going to let them proceed through the Form B. If the gang is ready to do that and get in the clear, then they will clear a train through the Form B, and they will prescribe to them whatever speed they want. Up here, the maximum authorized speed through here is 23 miles an hour. They almost always run them through at maximum authorized speed, but if you're somewhere where the max speed is 50 or 60, then they will generally slow that down a little bit.
and especially if they're working on an adjoining track the way they are here. And I don't remember now, there are different speed limits that you have to stay within those parameters based on track centers, whether they're 19 feet or 22 feet, or the further apart they are, obviously the faster you'd be able to run a train. But once the train reaches the red flag, if he has not been cleared through the Form B, and if he has not contacted the EIC, he has to stop at that red flag until he receives permission to pass it. And at the end of the Form B will be a green flag, and it always depends on what they're doing as to how far the Form B is in effect. This probably, I would say, maybe a half a mile, but sometimes if they're doing a great big high project or something, a Form B could be miles long. So anyway, that's how Form B works.
Heading northbound on the siding.
Copy, I'm clear.
Excavator clear. Jeff clear. I'm clear.
Okay, copy that. Demo is in the clear. Doc, you copy that?
Doc's in the clear.
It's in the clear. Brandon's also off the machine, correct? Richie?
That is correct.
Alright. Signal's in the clear.
In a Form B, there...
Hey, UP 7064 North. This is Foreman Frere with Gang 8719 using one Form B track bulletin on today's date, the 6th of July. We got a Form B track bulletin number 36978, line 1, all tracks Mojave subdivision. Gonna use milepost 348.75, milepost 349.25. The UP 7064 northbound may pass the red flag on milepost 349.25 without stopping. You may proceed to limits at maximum authorized speed. Sounding whistle bound when approaching passenger equipment, over.
Give me 30 seconds to clear this tunnel, and I'll give you the read back.
Okay, as you heard all those people reporting in the clear, whenever you have a Form B, there are different groups that are checked in to the Form B because they can't always communicate with each other verbally. So whenever they're going to clear a train through the Form B, the first thing they have to do is get hold of each group within the Form B and make sure that they are in the clear, and you heard them all clearing. And this train is the one going by. That's up on the loop right now, way long, which is the next siding up. As soon as he clears the tunnel, at the bottom of the loop, tunnel 9, he'll get back in touch and read the Form B back to the EIC, who you just heard.
Go for the read back. Form Frere, gang number 8719, using Form B number 36978 on today's date, 070622, lines 1, all tracks Mojave sub between milepost 349.25 milepost 348.75. The UP 7064 north may pass your red board 349.25 without stopping. Proceed to limits maximum authorized speed. Sounding whistle and bell approaching passing man equipment.
7064 north, correct on the repeat.
There's a DN signals request that them to come off the DN. Once he clears, I get that for you. Alright, correct. Thanks, man.
All right, well, you heard them clearing this UP train through their Form B, so he'll be here in a few minutes. All right, you can now see that train up there passing in front of himself. Rear end is still up on the loop. The bottom is the other part of the train, as you can see, is on the upper end. All right, here comes our westbound. That don't look too stable. Woo! Pretty new cars. Don't look like they've ever been used. like they were certified, qualified in 2021. As opposed to those two, which were certified and qualified in 2014. Westbound / northbound through the Form B at Woodford. Alright, well, this area where they've cleaned out, this needs to be pretty level. And they don't get out lasers into it, but it does need to be relatively level. And it sounded to me like they said they had a high spot over here, so they looks like they're digging back a little further and do things a little differently. All right, well, they got all these trucks in here shuffling around, coming in and out, and I had to go move my pickup out of the way for a minute. And then not everybody, but a bunch of guys came up there, about 10 of them, sitting in the trucks eating their lunch. I figured they were taking a lunch break, and then I heard them on the radio talking about moving this, so I thought I'd better get out here and catch them. As I said earlier, they're moving it in 2 parts. Alrighty. He has repositioned himself. You can see when they lift that up how heavy that is. Lifts the rear ends of the loaders up. Well, that is essentially in place. They'll go move that other panel. I just found out that I am going to have to go tend to some pretty important business. I shouldn't be gone too long.
So hopefully I'll get back before they start welding everything in place and catch the rest of it. All right. Well, we've got the other one. I got my business tended to. Came back up here, lost my parking place because it's always astounded me how many people think they need to be at places like this. Yep, all that parking over there, I want to park on this hill. Oh well. But anyway, they've got everything set. Got the signal guys down there getting their stuff hooked up. See the junction box there? It's got a cable that goes over to the signal cabin, bungalow, hut, house, whatever. And they'll get that tied in to the U5 box, switch circuit controller, which is that box. That's right behind the, there it is. Anyway. And move over here, you can see the track guys putting the angle bars on the cuts where they had the panel separated, and then they will have to go back there, cut those rails to the lengths they need them, and get those set up. You can hear the train that's approaching. He's honking his horn for the crossing that's down around the curve here. Rear unit's not running, but I've actually seen more Union Pacific trains today than I have BNSFs, and that's unusual, especially in the daytime around here. But as I was leaving a while ago, they had another Union Pacific coming up the hill, who they actually had to stop at the red flag at the Form B for a while. They were still setting these panels. They had to clear their equipment. I was only gone for about a half an hour, and in that time they got, as you can see, they got quite a bit of work done. Got the signal guys there getting ready to put on some railhead bonds. And for those of you who don't know, the railhead bonds are for continuity around angle bars. These guys over here are still hooking up the switch circuit controller. You go back to my piece on how the signal department works, or whatever that playlist is called, and I go over how U5 switch circuit controllers work. And U5 box is just, that's the name that the Union Switch and Signal Company, who made those originally, that was the name they gave to them. And they are getting ready to cut the rails down there. So they are using their water for fire prevention, get everything wetted down, all the vegetation. And when you're doing hot work, you actually have to fill out, I don't remember exactly what the form is called, but before you perform hot work, you have to write all this stuff down, the temperature, the humidity, the wind speed. We have little things, handheld devices, I can't remember what they're called, but everybody in the signal department had one, and they gave you all that information, you had to write all that down, and if you were, the temperature and the slope of the hills and how far away the vegetation was, everything had a score, and if the score added up to above a certain number, you actually had to contact your director and get permission to do that hot work. I'm assuming that's still the way it is. You can also see the little protector they have there to keep the sparks from going any further than a few feet from the saw. You saw that when they were doing the rail cutting and welding when I shot the rail gang going through here. Those gentlemen there are drilling the holes in the rail to hook up the angle bars, and that right there with the holes in it, that is the angle bar. Angle bars are what they use to bolt the rail together, for those of you who don't know. I'm sure most of you who watch this channel are conversant with that kind of stuff though. All right, well, as you can see, the signal guys down there, they also have spark shields that they use when they're doing hot work. When they're putting the railhead bonds as they are right now. They also bond the track wires that control the track circuits to the web of the rail, so they use that as well when they're doing that. We used to drill a 3/8 hole in the rail and plug our wires directly in the rail, hold them in with a pin that we hammered in there and a little sleeve. But we stopped doing that a long time ago, and this is the way everything is now welded to the rail. Alright, I'm going to fire those bonds off. I'm not sure what they used to do that. We used to have to, when I was working, we had what were called strikers. The thermite that's inside the little cups in the molds had a layer of igniter on top of it. You would hit that with a spark and fire it off that way. That was pretty trick, the way they did that. Pretty neat. They're always coming up with something new. That's a lot more safe than standing over the top of it with a striker. All right, they're getting ready to start dumping ballast, as you can see. And those little rubberized fabric mats there, those come in bigger rolls. That's what they use to lay down under the curve oilers. I shouldn't say under them, where they have curve oilers. Keeps the lubrication from getting slung everywhere. Instead of slinging up everywhere, it'll sling down and stick to that. And it keeps it from going so far away from the oilers. Back in the old days, if you were within 100 feet of a curve oiler, it was a mess. But anyway, the reason they're using those here, zoom in a little bit again, is when they dump the ballast, it'll keep the ballast out of the switch points, and they won't have to mess around with cleaning it later on. Dump some ballast, gonna get incredibly dusty. I hope the wind's blowing from my left to my right. I hope it stays that way, but if it isn't, I'll stick it out anyway. Always said that if you're looking for a nice clean job, the
Railroad is not it.
Well, go ahead and put that on again there. We're just letting it down.
You heard me talking earlier when I was discussing the Form B about groups that are checked into the Form B. That is the regulator and tamper that will surface this when it's all done and the ballast is all dumped. And they just pulled up. I heard them checking in to the Form B. And any work group that comes into the Form B, no matter what department or whatever, they have to check into the Form B. And when they're getting ready to clear a train through, they have to be notified and be certain that they're checked out, as you heard earlier. And they are going to run a southbound through here, or eastbound. You'll be going from our left to our right. You can hear the groups all checking in to be in the clear.
In the clear. Baloney's in the clear.
He's going to be coming through. I don't think I'm going to do the video of him. I think I'm going to get some stills. All right. Another thing is, it is definitely snake season, and today is a perfect day for snakes. It's not cold, it's not hot. It's a very, very nice day, and snakes like very, very nice days. And you saw the video I did about rail fanning and snake safety. Remember that I talked about how they're around rocks and places where there's shade and stuff and little places to hide. Snakes really like that. Got on my sturdy boots, my jeans, and I hopefully won't encounter any snakes. It's unlikely I will, but I am prepared. All right, so I changed my mind. Guy was not sounding his horn through here. The crossing up there that he's sounding it for. I don't know. It's got pretty windy in the last 20 minutes or so, but the wind is blowing this way, so should have been able to hear his horn, but whatever. Ain't no thing to me. I'm in the clear. I've had quite a few comments, even emails, where people say, oh, you should use a tripod. And I've mentioned this before, and one of the reasons I don't carry a tripod is I've been up and down this hill probably at least a half a dozen times today, and the hill on the other side at least as many. I'm now standing on very uneven ground on this rock. And I just don't feel like carting it around and setting it up every time I want to shoot a segment. For those of you who do like that, real still, real great, there's a channel called Spencer Hughes. He does a lot of aviation, but he does a lot of railroad too. Great filmography. He really is really good at what he does. You need to check that out. Cool channel. Because I love aviation too, especially military aviation. All right. There goes the now you see why they laid those pieces of rubber down there. That would be a real pain in the bohunkus to have to dig all that crap out.
That's good. There you go.
All right, I don't know if you noticed earlier, but if you look closely, you can see that there's still
a dozen or so wood ties before the concrete ties start, and those weren't part of the panel itself. So once they got the panel set, they went in there with the backhoe. Whoops, sorry about that. They went in with the backhoe, pulled out the wood ties, which they're still doing, and replacing them with concrete. You can see that the concrete ties, the longer ones that go under the beginning of the turnout, and they'll get in there and start replacing the 9-foot ties. For those of you who've never worked on the railroad or have never worked in maintenance of way or signal or the departments where you have to spend all day walking in ballast, working in it like this, I can tell you one thing. At the end of the day, your feet are beat. Your knees are tore up. My knees and my hips, my feet feel so much better since I retired and don't have to walk in ballast or stumble over ties or around switches. It is really one of the most, I think, the most difficult parts of the job. All right, well, they're clearing, getting everybody in the clear right now. Gonna run a BNSF. I didn't catch which direction it's going. I think it's going south or east. But got the regulator fired up. Start getting this ballast spread out in town. See, the frog and the main are clear. Using the backhoe to try to clear some of the stuff off of the turnout. The tamper moving up. Start tamping here. You go back to my How Things Work on the Railroad playlist, or the one that is on-track equipment, machinery, something like that. I can't remember what it's called. But I got the big cat tamper working up at Summit this past winter. This is not a cat tamper. This one isn't that big, and it's not a continuous action, but it performs the same function. And that function is to tamp the ballast under the ties. Secures the roadbed, secures the track structure. When I did the piece on the surfacing yang up at Summit, and then while I was following the day they lined out the curve at Cable in preparation for the new bridge, you can see how those ones just moved along pretty quickly. We're in a turnout now with closure rails, stock rails, turnout rails, rails of differing widths, and the piece that has the actual tampers on it can be moved in and out to compensate for that, for the turnouts, and they have to work a little slower to make sure that they don't damage anything, including the tamper. The operator just was off messing around with something down there with that box in the middle. It appears that maybe that is the laser that they use to align this with. Please correct me if I'm wrong, or I don't mind, and you know that I am sometimes wrong. But you can see that cart down there on the tracks. It looks like that is their target, and that's what they're using to keep track of the alignment and the grade and level in the area that they will be tamping, which is here. One of the things I didn't mention before, if you watch that piece in the front here, you'll see that it grabs the rail and lifts the rail up, and lifts the ties and everything up as the tamper goes down, and it sets it back down. That way the ballast is tamped well under the tie. One of the other things you'll notice that I don't see a lot of people doing anything right now. That is because there's not much else for anybody to do right now. When they're done tamping and regulating, surfacing this, the track guys will come out and they will adjust their switch, make sure it's throwing correctly. The signal guys will come out and adjust the switch circuit controller, test the electric lock, make sure they're working correctly. They'll do whatever cleanup work they're going to do today, and I heard them say they're going to come back tomorrow and do finish work. I won't be here. As I said, I will be on my way to the coast. All right. The regulator coming in behind the tamper. You might have noticed that he's got the plow and the wing on the other end now facing us, and the broom facing away. They have a post. They can put this down on the rail. There where that Whoop, where that hydraulic, those hydraulic rams are with that solid steel plate. And that's the balance point. They can jack this up and spin it around by hand and get it going the other way. All right, you can see the regulator has put his wing down between the tracks. He's going to run some ballast in. It's hard to see because of the shadows, but these two gentlemen right here are adjusting the switch throw rod and the hand throw. That has to be right. If it is not, the switch won't throw correctly. You won't be able to, you'll be able to line it one way or not the other, or not either way, whatever. But the switch throw rod not being adjusted correctly is very undesirable. All right, looks like the switch rod may have been bent a little bit. They just had the backhoe stick his bucket in there and claw, whatever he calls that thing, and push it to the east a little bit, to the south. Looks like they're having trouble getting it to adjust up. Well, they're still having issues adjusting that. Seen everything that, seen all the major work happen today. So, I think I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I'm hungry. Well, when I went to edit the video, I realized that, yes, once again, my camera had shut off while I was shooting my end piece. So, here's my end piece. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to keep shooting me the ideas. Drop in the comments below. Shoot me an email at motorpoet59@gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe. Click on the bell if you want to be notified of future content. We'll see you all later.